Hello guys, and welcome back to another First Impressions. It's been a while since we've done one of these. As you guys can see, I've been quite busy covering other content, but there are two games that I've really been wanting to try. One being Albion and the other being Dungeon Fighter Online now that it's hit Steam and has a ton of good reviews. Even though I usually stick to Eastern MMORPGs, I've been wanting to try this out for some months now, ever since I saw some gameplay from my good friend Rhythm, who would upload group fights, and they just seem like a ton of fun. I love games that push player interaction and have a good guild system. Small scale to large scale PvP, I love it, and Albion has that. This video is sponsored. However, I'm still going to be completely honest with you guys throughout this First Impressions and early CBT review. Keep in mind that this is based off of my opinion. If you disagree with anything, that is totally fine, and I urge you to share your opinions in the comment section below. The game is also in beta, and this is just a First Impressions, so I may not be able to cover every feature, and every feature might not have been available during the making of this video. Now let's get into it. Albion is an isometric, very player-driven sandbox MMORPG that is available and has cross-play for both the PC and mobile devices. As I said, what mainly has me interested in this game is the group fights and the player-driven economy. I like a game that actually shows off the amount of time and grind you put in, which isn't for everybody. In some MMOs, a player can play 8 hours a day, grind twice as much, but have the same gear as somebody who plays 3 hours a day, because the game is more casual, which is cool because some people have full-time jobs. Then there are those of us who just love our grind. Albion is a game you can enjoy as a casual player when it comes to life skills, professions, trade runs, and things like that. But if you want to be a top guild, dominate territories, and destroy people in PvP, you're going to have to work for it. So to start things off, when it comes to the graphics, you can't really compare them to your typical MMORPG, as this game was also made to be played on mobile. So if you understand that, you have to go in with a more open-minded approach. The character customization doesn't go too deep. You have a few male and female presets, like 3 hairstyles to choose from, skin and hair color, and different types of underwear. Gearing throughout this game does change the look of your character, and when you are in a party or just running around, you can change your player icon. Most have to be unlocked. I'm sure there are some pretty badass icons, and what would make it cooler is if you have to reach certain impossible-like goals to get a certain icon. Just a thought though. So other than the character creation, there is no real introduction to the game. They throw you right in and tell you to start hunting and crafting. I didn't see any type of tutorial. In fact, when it came to crafting my first knife to carve animals, it took me a very long time to find out how to do so. I couldn't find it in the menu, and then I found out I had to go to the nearby blacksmith. Maybe I'm just the exceptional dumbass. This game does not hold your hand. As I said, you are thrown right into the loop, but within the first 10 minutes you can have your first crafted set of armor and weapons. Within a few hours, I had crafted my tier 2 set of gear and was moving up to my tier 3 set of gear. The leveling and progression system in this game is not like your typical MMO, which is good. Albion feels very simple, from the UI to the bag, gearing your character, and gathering. It all feels so simple. But then they hit you with this huge destiny board system, which is very complex. As you can see, there are hundreds of paths to take. To gain access to these paths, you must meet certain fame requirements, which brings me to the fame system. So everything you do pretty much earns you fame. Killing creatures and NPCs, killing players, gathering materials. It all ties to this fame system, which I really like and wish this was in more MMOs. You can check your fame to see how many players you've killed, how many times you've died, how many NPCs you've slain, and how many trade runs you've done. Things like that make you feel like there's endless progression. For those who love open world PvP and PKing, who wouldn't want to keep increasing their player killer fame? But back to the original topic. Certain masteries or professions in the Destiny board require you to reach a certain amount of fame. Earn X amount of fame by killing mobs that use tier 2 weapons, and then you will gain the ability to craft higher tier weapons. Again, this game feels very simple, but has such a complex system. It doesn't hold your hand, and it took a little bit of time to find out which NPCs and crafting tables to go to make certain kinds of materials that craft into certain items at other NPCs. You'll be doing a lot of gathering on your journeys, whether it be to craft your own gear or to sell on a marketplace so you can become rich and never have to craft again. Or maybe you end up in a guild and need help with resources. The group fights were definitely a thing that appealed to me, but I went into this game solo. I do think this game will be 100 times better with a group, but since we are here for our first impressions, I roamed around solo. Trade runs are a thing, taking resources and items from one town to another to sell and make a ton of profit. But along the way you might come across bandits or players that will try and stop you, so getting with the group to protect your trade goods or stay protected is best. You also have people who will be roaming around PKing. The skill system is pretty unique. You get skills based off the gear you have equipped. Nobody is one single class. Your class and skills change based off your gear. Equip a bow, become an archer. Equip a staff, become a mage. Switch it up on the go. Though you do have to worry about weight, and keeping too many items isn't a good thing, especially when you're going to be gathering materials. Running back to town and storing things in your warehouse is best. But back to the skill system. Using a tier 1 sword will give you the choice of 2 skills, one for more damage, one that's more AoE. Upgrading to a tier 2 sword now gives you 2 abilities, and one that allows you to choose between 2 skills just like the tier 1 sword. So of course upgrading to another tier will unlock more skills, but even your armor has abilities. Increased movement speed with the boots, instant health regen with the helmet, and your choice of health regen, out of combat, or a buff in defense with your chest piece. Even though this isn't a MOBA, if you have played League, you'll feel right at home with the point and click movement and the skill keybinds, Q, W, E, R, and so on. If you come from Diablo or other top-down dungeon crawlers, it's kind of similar but not as action-packed. It's like RuneScape on steroids. Their world is huge, but the zones are instants. The zones themselves are pretty big as well. It also has a day and night cycle. At night you'll see the reflection of the stars and things will get pretty dark for a long time. You can even craft torches for certain areas and dungeons. Now again, these graphics aren't too exciting, but for a cross between mobile and PC, it's pretty decent and well optimized. The soundtrack of this game is great, from the ambience to the sound effects of you skinning foxes. Little things like upgrading a profession give you that feeling of success just because the sound effects sound like you just hit a huge milestone. But then there was that time I came across giant rats that sounded like dogs. Anyways, the zones in this game are pretty unique from what I experienced, and you can find different resources in each. So exploration in this game will be huge if you want to succeed in money making and crafting the best gear. You'll have to travel far for rare materials, craft them, take the goods to a far town, and profit. Bringing in imported goods, nobody else around has them. Overall, I could see Albion as a game I could invest hours and hours in. But as you guys know, these type of games don't really work for me anymore, as I want to continue making a variety of content, so my time is limited, like working a full-time job. But the fact that Albion is on mobile as well means I can play this game on the go. I do think this game will be much more fun with the group. The only way I could see you really having fun as a solo player is if you enjoy ganking people from the shadows, or enjoy role-playing with life skills. Other than that, guilds and taking territories and resources is very important in this game. Would I recommend Albion to my viewers? If you have slight interest in this game, I recommend you try it. It's not too hard to get into. Sure, there wasn't really a tutorial to hold my hand, but gathering resources, crafting, exploring, and killing can't be too hard to learn, right? Also, if you are competitive, love open world PvP, and a game where your time and grind shows, I recommend you try Albion. This game is also pretty hardcore, whereas if you die, you can lose your gear. So if you're into that kind of thing, Albion is perfect for you. If you are looking for something with fast-paced combat, a game to play alone, a game with a story or deep character design, I don't think Albion is the game for you. So as far as the pros go, it has a huge map, lots of areas to explore with different resources. The player-driven economy is top-notch. Players don't just make the prices, but certain goods won't even be available in your town if a player or guild hasn't went through the work of crafting the items and bringing them across the map through dangerous zones. There are tons of group activities for guilds, so if you enjoy playing with friends or groups, you'll enjoy the endless guild progression. I haven't experienced it myself, but watched enough footage. The group fights look amazing. The game's optimization is great. I always hit on this, as this can be game breaking. As far as the cons go, if you're looking for a game with great combat, Albion probably isn't for you, as it takes a more old school approach to things. The zones are instants, but again, the zones are huge, so you won't really see this as a problem. But I can understand how a game that isn't completely open world can be a con to some of you guys. Character customization isn't too detailed, so don't expect to have a super badass looking character. And there's not really a story, so I can't see this being too enjoyable for a solo player. But MMORPGs are just that, massive multiplayer online games, so you should kind of be there to interact with other players. If I got really involved with this game, joined or made a guild, and experienced the group fights and player housing, I'm sure I'd have an even better experience. The crossplay between mobile and PC really threw me off when I first heard about it, as I thought maybe this game would be dumbed down so it can be more appealing to the mobile users. But to my surprise, it's still pretty complex. Just has a simple UI. Because of this crossplay, you also have to see it for what it is when it comes to the graphics. You can't really compare it to a top played PC MMORPG when it comes to the looks. Gotta take a more open-minded approach. So when this game goes live, do any of you guys plan on trying it? Let me know what you think about Albion in the comment section below. I'll join you down there, and until the next one, guys, see you soon, friends.